What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of That's Bomb TV. Today I'm going to do a basic review of episode 5 of The Mandalorian, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think is going to happen in the next few episodes leading up to the finale. So the episode begins by Mando being chased by the random bounty hunter you see before you. And they're going back and forth talking. He's basically telling him to give up and give him the child, and he will let Mando live. Mando's trying to escape. The guy's shooting at him with his ship, and so Mando pulls a risky maneuver, hits the brakes, and gets behind him and blows his ship up. In doing so, he clipped his engine on his ship, damaging it, so he needs to land. So he finds the nearest planet, which just so happens to be Tatooine, and he plots a course to land on Mos Eisley. If you don't know what that is the planet where Luke and Anakin grew up on as a child, and Mos Eisley is like the epicenter of Big Town. And so he makes his way to Hangar 35, and he meets a mechanic and basically tells her to repair his ship and do it by herself. No droids allowed, because we all know the Mando hates droids. So he makes his way out and goes over to the Cantina Bar. And if you don't know what the Cantina Bar is, I'll give you a basic rundown. The Mos Eisley Cantina is a dimly lit cavern known for its song, drinks, tunes, and occasional outbreaks of shocking violence. It's a good place for star pilots to go and look for work, so that's where he does. He goes there, and actually, it's funny because it used to be a place where droids were absolutely not allowed, and we see one here working the bar. So Mando asks him, "Is there any work for hire?" And the droid replies, "No, the guild has just be completely gone from the whole world." So that's when this guy speaks up and says he is looking for someone to fill a job for him. And that's when he pulls out his little bounty chip thing, and that's when he reveals he's looking for Fennec Shand. And Fennec is a very renowned bounty hunter, and he tells him, "No, I'm all set. I don't want to deal with her." But he says he can keep all the reward money, so that's enough to convince Mando to take the job. Mando tells him to get 2 speeders and to meet him outside of Hangar 35. That's when Toro sees the child and the mechanic, and they speed off. Then they ultimately come up to a ridge, and they spot Tusken Raiders over the ridge. After spying on them with his binoculars, he talks a little crap and basically says he's going to tell them to their face to get out of the way or else. And that's when, out of nowhere, randomly, 2 of them just pop up next to him. Like, hey, what's up, hello? You know what I mean? So, Mando, using his vast intellect of space language, he starts signing at him, and they have a conversation, and they end up striking a deal. And after they strike the deal, he basically tells Toro to hand over his binoculars to them, and it gives them free passage to move on. So they hop back on their speeders and they continue on their way until they come across a dewback. And the dewback is just chilling there with a body attached to it. So Mando goes down there to investigate like a smart boy should, because who knows why that's there? Obviously, it's a trap by Fennec. They realize this, and so they regroup behind a ridge until night. Then they go and take their speeders, and they speed towards the ridge where they saw the shot come from. As they're speeding towards her, they're shooting off flares to distract her scope, but she still shoots Mando's speeder. But the other guy ends up getting it behind her. They get into a little scuffle, and Mando says, "Nice distraction," and they capture her. Mando tells Toro to watch her while he goes and gets the back so he can ride that back in. But as they're away, Toro kills Fennec because Fennec convinces him to take in the Mandalorian because he is a traitor and his armor is way more valuable than she is. So, I don't know, he goes back and thinks it's a way better idea, even though he couldn't do it on his own. He goes back and takes Baby Yoda, Boyo, the mechanic, captive. That's when Mando goes into the hangar. They have a little conversation back and forth. Toro tells the mechanic to handcuff Mando, and Mando then flashbangs him and gets around on the side and shoots him and takes him out. And that's pretty much the episode. Another filler episode. It's okay, but whatever. We're over it. But the last scene is pretty interesting. It pans back to Fennec down on the ground, and someone walks up to her, and the only person in my mind is it has to be this man, who's Giancarlo Esposito's character, Moff Gideon, and he is obviously an Imperial officer of some kind, and he's probably the one that's out for Baby Yoda. But that begs the question, why is he after him? Why is he so obsessed with him? And is he the big bad, or is there someone above him? Which I really think, honestly, I'm pretty sure it's Admiral Thrawn. Which, if you don't know who Admiral Thrawn is, he is the most beast dude you've never heard of. He is from Rebels. He's more or less in the show before A New Hope. He is a master tactician. He is one of the Emperor's best generals, and more or less his death is just left up in the air. What happens in Rebels is this character right here, his name is Ezra. Ezra more or less sacrifices himself at the end of the show to save everyone. He uses his force ability to call upon these strange looking creatures. They're called a Purgle. And a Purgle is these crazy like space dimensional creatures that can travel at light speed. Yeah, they're absolutely enormous too. Like the size of Star Destroyers, enormous. So what he does is he uses the Force to command them to wrap around the ship, and when they do this, the tentacles come crashing through the windows, and they wrap up Admiral Thrawn, and yeah, it's this whole crazy scene. Thrawn's like distraught, obviously, but Ezra commands them to warp into light speed, which they have that ability. Apparently they can just warp light speed themselves, so they don't need anyone else to do it. And that's the last we see of them. I watched this YouTube video with this guy. He basically plotted their trajectory, and they're somewhere in the unknown regions. So unless it's Snoke or Palpatine, it has to be Thrawn. I would love to see his character come in, because it's like, at this point, why do Snoke or Palpatine? Because we both know Palpatine's story is continuing in 9, and Snoke was killed off as of The Last Jedi, so why even bring him in? Unless you want to just throw a quick like origin story in, that's fine. But yeah, I'd like to see Admiral Thrawn in there. I think it would be pretty cool. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate it, and if you're interested, check out my other videos I have here. Thanks for watching, take it easy, as always keep your eyes open for the newest episodes.